Typically, this is where you would see me react to a major global final, like I did last year for the men's 1500, but because somebody forgot to, see that? Somebody forgot to do that. That's not happening. I did try to rewind and make a couple of other attempts at it, but it just didn't feel right, you know. It turned into a trial and error game at that point, and I figured, why not just do it for another race, like the 400 hurdles, like I've also done in the past. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about this 1500 meter final, because it was pretty groundbreaking, if I had a word to describe it, because it almost broke the event even further wide open than it already arguably was. And I say that because, yes, you had Josh Kerr and Jakob Ingebrigtsen coming in as the two build favorites, just like it was Jakob Ingebrigtsen versus Timothy Cheruiyot in Tokyo 2021, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen versus the world in 2022 and 2023. Now, this year, it was arguably Jakob versus the world again, because Jakob had been running these amazing times leading up to the Olympics, but all these other athletes were just finding their own. You saw Cole Hocker. I botched his last lap split from the Olympic trials. It was not a 54, it was a 52 in a 3:30 race. That was a real hint at what he had to show tonight. Obviously, Josh Kerr, with what he showcased at Prefontaine, winning the Bowerman Mile, and Yared Nuguse coming in third, that was a preview of this Paris final. And I got to say, too, huge props to Yared Nuguse for getting on the podium, because I did not see him doing it, to be honest. I saw it being, of course, either him or Cole Hocker as the one American that would get on the podium. I also saw the great possibility, with the form that Timothy Cheruiyot has showcased in select races this season, that we would have seen an entire repeat of the Tokyo podium with Jakob, Timothy, and then Josh, who got third. But it was not that way. Jakob took it out hard, as I thought he should have. I thought he was going to win again. I was wrong again. But he took it out just like he would have in a time trial race, 54.82. And I thought that was a good move by him. The problem is with the rounds in your legs, it doesn't matter how perfectly you approach this. It doesn't matter how you recover. It doesn't matter how you run leading up to that. You still have that in your legs. And you can only respond so well in contrast to a time trial type race like we see him do at the Diamond Leagues. So, Jakob, he's at the front. He's starting to stretch out the field come the second lap, which is a 56.5, but you saw the second Kenyan Coleman tire off quickly after the 800 mark, which is when the challengers really started to step up. You saw Cheruiyot make a move, Josh Kerr make a move, and what I loved about the Americans is that after 300 meters on, they all stuck right together. Cole Hocker was initially a little bit off the back, but Nuguse and Kessler, Hobbs Kessler, they were right there in the middle of the pack, pretty much just as Josh Kerr had been in Budapest, and they just waited. They stuck with the pace. It was as hot as could be, 232, 233 through 1100, and there were still 7 guys at the front, completely unprecedented. This was where Jakob was supposed to run away with it. This is where I thought he would run away with it, but he just couldn't shake the field. He led once again into the final 100. Cole Hocker, he made a brilliant move down the back stretch to get from 5th into 3rd. And then he tried to go on the inside. It looked like Jakob shut him down. But then Kerr went by, broke Jakob, allowing Cole Hocker to find that space on the inside. It was like, oh my goodness. Once Kerr made that move, I thought he had won it again. But then, not but a second later, there goes Cole Hocker. And this has just been the huge difference. I'm almost positive I've said it before, but his ability to kick off of hot paces has made him so different this year. He broke the Olympic record in his first time under 3:30. That is why I say this race is groundbreaking, because prior to this year, the only hope of success that the Americans have had in this event, getting a global medal in terms of, was Matthew Centrowitz in that Jog Fest back in 2016. Now, granted, that was a great race, one of the most, ironically, memorable races of all time because of how unique it was. And, of course, how many years the U.S. had been separated from having its previous gold medal in the event. But this was a race that followed every direction that the event has taken in the past half decade. This event has completely strayed away from the tactical global finals. It has been, I'm going to say it, balls to the wall. That's the event that we know today that is the men's 1500. And it played out that way here once again in Paris, and the Americans said, we can do it. And they did it. First, not only, well, it was Centrowitz who won the first gold in 108 years, and now in 112 years, the first multi-medal performance by the Americans. And even Josh Kerr, he took a very, very hard-earned silver. Though he did not win the race, he won the rivalry. So, ultimately, the loser is Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who got fourth, which I think ultimately comes down to a lack of urgency. I just don't sense it in Jakob in a 1,500-meter race. Maybe the 500 is his better event. Maybe it's not because of the times that he's proven that he can run in a perfectly paced race. But when it comes down to it, his racing chops I just don't sense them the same. And I say that as someone who is an unretired athlete with almost no desire to push himself in a 400-meter race like he once had back in his high school days. I like doing things routinely. I like doing things, I'm going to admit it, within my comfort zone because it's painful. You guys know it. There's no reason for me as an unretired athlete with no real need to do anything to push myself beyond my own limits. Now, one of these times, I'm telling you guys, once I recapture that feeling, enough about me, you already know. The typical Brett Favre arc. But when you watch Jakob Ingebrigtsen come down that home stretch, you just don't really see any reaction from him. You just kind of see him get defeated once Kerr comes on his shoulder. And that's not to say he's not trying, because he's still here putting down incredibly quick times that you would have never expected to see in Olympic finals 5-10 years ago. That is absolutely necessary for me to mention when it comes to what Jakob has done for the sport. But when you put him in a race with guys that want it more, he's toast. And Cole Hocker proved that today. What a huge win for him. And again, his first time under 330 to go 3:27.65 to break Jakob, Mr. Pacemaker's Olympic record. This is a defining moment in the event's course. And I think we could see multiple guys now. Because, again, none of these guys besides Jakob before today were ever under 328. We could get all of these guys in a paced race and see multiple guys challenge Hishamelka Rouge's 326 flat. That is ultimately where this event has gone. And I can't wait to see where it goes next, guys. So, again, I'm sorry if any of you wanted to see a live reaction video. I was losing. I was like, Cole Hocker's an Olympic champion. It was great. And I was so happy with it. But what are you going to do? You got to take the good with the bad. And hopefully I don't make the same mistake again. And hopefully the 400-meter hurdles finals are spectacular as well. I mean, they're 400-meter hurdles finals. Of course they're going to be. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.